tonight we got a great story to tell. We have David and Leslie Shippey with us. They joined us back in June earlier this year and told a story on some of their other properties. But tonight we're going to talk about a large portfolio, 380 plus units. Tell us a little bit about you guys and your background and where you're at.
Thanks, Doug.
Thanks, Doug.
David and Leslie Shippey. How's everybody doing in the land of COVID? So my background is computer engineering. I did that for 30 years. Worked on some cool projects. Maybe you've heard of them, maybe not. Xbox, PlayStation, the iPhone. Interestingly, the engineering field that I worked in for many years, I've transferred many of those skills to running multi-million-dollar apartment businesses. So project management, and people management, and negotiation, and those kind of things. Leslie?
I actually owned a family and child therapy practice and taught seminars and had a staff for 30 years and really enjoyed that. I had my own business. I thought I would really arrived, cash flowed my own business. I think that part of what brought those skills to light in what we're doing now is just getting to know people and understanding a little bit about business. We didn't know anything about apartment complexes and owning property when we joined Lifestyles.
Well, the good thing with the two of you is David talking about, you know, people management and project management. That's extremely important with the millions and millions of dollars of assets that you own today.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what brought you to Lifestyles?
Yeah, so we joined Lifestyles, and you know, really, I was highly motivated to get out of corporate America. I wanted financial freedom. I wanted to spend more time with family, and you know what they teach us, you know, growing up and getting a 401k and putting money into the stock market and all that is really not a great success story. And we needed, you know, we looked around and we wanted to find a different way to find financial freedom. And, you know, that's really what drove us to Lifestyles was looking for a way to find multiple streams of income that could eventually replace our salaries from our, you know, from our day-to-day jobs.
Okay, good.
So we joined Lifestyles back in 2009. We joined in Central Texas. There was just a handful of people. Dave Fisher was one of them. We attended the 2-day, you know, back then that was Del Walmsley that taught that. We went on all the road trips. We did all the networking, et cetera. And we did our first lead syndication back in 2011. And 3 years later, I was able to retire from corporate America, and we had basically replaced two six-figure, you know, multiple six-figure incomes, and we were financially free. We've since gone on to purchase 34 properties, 7,000 units, valued at over $800 million.
Can I stop them a second? For the folks watching tonight, this man was able to retire himself from six-figure incomes. He's an engineer. That's his excited face. See how excited he is? You know? So just so you know, but this is peeing your pants excited. I mean, guys out there, those of you with six-figure incomes, could you imagine being able to replace that income? These folks have done it. These are pioneers. You want to step up. You're that type of person. They're very conservative that way, but they were able to do it. You can as well. I just had to add that in there because I see how excited they are. You know, when they go, yeah.
Well, I will say, David, that, you know,
ahead, Leslie.
there isn't many
You deal with
days.
children like David.
There's not many days that go by that we don't say to each other, wow, look at this life we've created. So when we hit financial freedom, which is replacing all that income, I continued with my practice because I loved it. But I also will tell you there is nothing like that feeling of not needing to worry about money at all. I don't think we'd ever had that experience.
No.
And we still are having that experience, and our life is just fantastic. So, yeah, Lifestyles is awesome.
And just so folks understand, is they formed a whole team around them. They have plenty of employees. They're helping and blessing all these people. But not only have they retired themselves, many of their investors are now retired as well. So people just put money in the deal. They never have to work again. And all they did was get checks in the mail. I just want to make sure they know that as well, because maybe you're not going to be a David and Leslie that want to put the deals together, but you could be what's called a passive investor, invest these deals as well. And they took a lot of people along for the ride.
Yeah, well, in fact, one of the most satisfying things for us, Dave, is we run into people all the time that are passive investors on our deals, and they just say, "Hey, I just want to shake your hand. I want you to know that you retired me." And I can't tell you what a great feeling that is to have someone come up and tell you that I retired them.
Yeah, we really take it seriously when people put money into our deals. We're responsible for that money, and we want to create a return. So it is even, we're rewarded by a lot of things in this industry, and that is one of the top ones, is feeling like we made a difference for our investors.
Yeah, think about it. You ruin people's careers. It's awesome.
So we're going to talk.
Go ahead, David. Sorry.
Yeah, we're going to talk about a couple of our first deals, just to give you a little background. This was our very first deal back in 2011. This is our first lead syndication, and we pulled together $650,000. So we got 6 investors. At that time in Central Texas, there were maybe 10 people, and we begged and borrowed from whoever we could. And
because there weren't too many deals, it was hard to, people were worried, and they would overanalyze the deals, and they would talk themselves out of it. And in the end, you can see that we gave a really large return on that at the end of that deal. So all the people probably, I didn't ask them personally, but all the people had gone, "Oh my gosh, you should run away. I don't think that's a good deal." Now I just think, oh, I bet they are just wishing, that they had been a little bit more courageous or taken that risk, because it really paid off.
Yeah, so we really cut our teeth on this deal. It was, in fact, Dale Walmsley was our mentor on this, and he walked this property with us, and he pulled me aside. He says, "All right, Dave, are you going to buy this? Because if you're not, I'm going to buy it." He gave me a little kick in the pants, and but we learned a lot on this property. It was crazy times back then. It was right after the banking crash. It was about impossible to get a loan. And we always laugh because we got this loan from this bank called the Bank of the Internet. It's like, that's kind of a fly by night bank, but we scraped together the resources, we got a loan, and we put the deal together, and we consistently returned 18% cash on cash returns, and eventually we tripled everybody's money. We sold that 3 years later, and put a lot of cash into people's pocket.
And as I was saying earlier, we didn't know anything about running apartment complexes. And the cool thing about this property is that we hired somebody part-time who had been in the industry, but we also had all the mentors and the operations people, and they came from Lifestyles, and they helped us that first day and gave us checklists and really got us up and going. We also had, people that were also in Lifestyles. Terry and Susan Matheny came over that day. They had a property nearby, and really kind of helped us feel more and more comfortable about stepping into this new industry.
Yeah, so folks out there listening, just think of it, just this one deal. If you just did one deal, you put 100K and turn it over 300K, would that be life-changing? You're working hard at your job 20 or 30 years, and you could have been one of these investors putting 50K, 100K, 25K. I don't know what all the different amounts were, but that is the point of this. And could lightning ever strike twice? Could you ever make a 50% or more return again? Well, I guess so. Let's look at your next deal. Does that sound
good? So our next deal.
Laugh out of them. They get excited.
So our next deal, kind of a similar story. It's just a bigger deal. So you can see now we raised $2 million. We went from $650,000 to $2 million. Now watch the progression of the price per unit. So we paid $28,000 per unit for the first one. This one was $33,000 per unit. 181 units, and it was similar submarket, kind of a C-class property. And we came in and really similar story. We ran it well. We followed the lifestyles model that they taught us. We returned 23% average returns, cash on cash, and then we sold that property and returned our investors 340%.
Well, if you remember, Dave Fisher, actually, you walked this with us and helped us learn a lot about wiring. That was a new thing for us.
Aluminum. Yeah, I remember that.
Aluminum wiring, that was a foreign thing.
Yeah, I remember that was on the second phase down at the bottom. But one thing I want to bring up on this property, they made all this money, 340%, and then they sold it to another what?
Another lifestyles.
No, and they made a great return on top of it, didn't they?
Who's killing it, you know, also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I want to bring that up for the people coming this weekend. So they made great money. They left some meat on the bone for the next guy, and I think he's making over 100% return as well, correct?
Yes.
Well, I'm funny, he was an investor on our deal on this property.
He was an investor
before he bought it.
Right.
He's made a lot of
money. He was there through the whole thing. Yep. I just want people to know that sometimes properties go from one member to another. They stay in the family as everybody grows together.
Yeah.
No, I'm very aware of what he's doing on it. Not only did he get to participate in the $340,000, he bought it and is looking at double-digit returns on that one as well right now. So it was a win-win, really good.
Mm-hmm.
Next.
So now we're going to kind of get into the meat of the presentation and the properties that we're going to talk about tonight. Now, what I love about this deal is, you know, we always hear from especially Lifestyles members, well, that was back in the day, you know, you did that first deal, you did that second deal, and, you know, things were different then, and, you know, you just bought at a good time. Well, here's a deal that we bought 3 years ago. We spent $110,000 per door. Now think about that. Our very first deal was $28,000 per door. We spent $110,000 per door on this. And what you're going to see as we progress through this is it's actually a very similar story to those first two deals. So we purchased this one for $42 million. We raised now we raised $11 million. Can you imagine that? Now we're big time syndicators. We raised $11 million. That was a lot of investors. We'd come a long way from our 6 investors back in the day to $11 million. We got a really great deal on this. We got good Fannie Mae loans, 80% leverage, 4.5% interest. We've since gone on to put another supplement on this, and I'm sure Dave Fisher will talk about that in the 2-day. This is when I took the 2-day, when they started talking about, you know, putting an extra loan on this or refinancing, that was peeing your pants excited for me, because finally the lights went off and I was like, I get it. This is how you make money in multifamily. Next. Okay, so a little bit about the property. We bring in about $5.3 million on this. The expenses are $2.1 million, which is about $5,700 per unit. We have a monthly cash flow of $97,000 and an NOI of $3.2 million. So on this deal, we're averaging about 17% cash on cash returns. So guys, I don't want to hear about this. Well, 10 years ago, you got 18% returns, but you know, that was then, this is now. Guys, this was 3 years ago. We're paying out 17% cash on cash returns. We've already returned 40% of the initial investment. So if you put in $100,000, you've already gotten back $40,000, plus you're getting 17% cash on cash returns.
Yeah, and what you're looking at here, this is actually your year 3 pro forma income and expenses. In a moment, we're going to show you what year 1 looks like, year 2, and year 3, and the progression of how this property has increased its income and how it's affected the overall value of the property. We'll see that in a few minutes.
And another thing I want folks to understand, you hear like 20 million or 10 million or all these big numbers, and you're brand new. You're going, I got 75 grand to work with. People invest in these deals. I don't know what Dave took in this deal, but anywhere from 25 to 150,000, whatever. it doesn't matter if you put in 25 grand or 50 grand or 100 grand, you're making a 17% return. I want the new folks to understand that.
Right, good point. So, you know, we came in, and this is a typical Shippy interior upgrade. You know, we do black appliances, we do backsplash in the kitchen, we do two-tone paint. You know, this is a cookie cutter now. We do every property like this. We put in vinyl plank. I hate carpet, so we get rid of all the carpet. We do vinyl plank or tile, and this is a typical interior upgrade.
So at your properties, you have a template that you have built, and it just, your staff knows exactly when you walk a vacant unit, exactly what needs to be done on every turn.
Exactly. Every turn, they know exactly what's going into it, what the cost of everything is. We turn them all the same way at every property, whether it's in Austin, San Antonio, you know, anywhere in Texas. These are some of the exterior upgrades we did. You know, we put in new signage. That's always important. We upgraded the pool area. We put in a dog park. You know, these are all pretty simple things that actually raise the value of the property, which you'll see later how we raise the net operating income with just simple changes like this.
And you change the name of every one of your properties, right?
Typically we do. Our first properties, we kind of had this horse theme going. So, you know, if you notice, we had Trifecta, we had Triple Crown. This was Belmont and Derby, which are two famous, you know, horse parks.
Got it. Yeah.
So, you know, what was the key to our success? This number one bullet is really the key to success in everything we do. And I would say this is true of any industry, including apartments. You got to go hire the right people. And if you surround yourself with the right people, we have over 100 employees that work for us now. And we continue, you know, that's a lot of what Leslie and I do, especially Leslie on the kind of the HR side is hiring the right people, making sure that we have the right people in the right jobs and keeping them happy. So that's probably the biggest key to our success. And then we added value. So we upgraded the exterior, we added a dog park, we upgraded the pool. And then the biggest bang for the buck is always the interiors. That's how you raise rents. So we upgraded with new flooring, appliances, lighting. So what we've done, you'll see the numbers later, but we increased the rent in this place in 3 years. We've increased it by over $150 per unit. That's how you raise your NOI right there. And most of that bang for the buck is in the interior upgrades.
Yeah, and what I want everybody to know is that when you're looking at these properties, you're also doing at the time comps in the area. You know what the rents are. You know what type of investment that you have to make in each one of your units so that you can get those rents. It's not an assumption or a guess. I mean, we have a clear process that we use that says, okay, if rents are $800 a month, and if we do these type of upgrades, here's the type of increase that we're going to see. So the steps that you've taken as prior to buying the property.
Yeah, good point.
Okay.
So let's get into my favorite part, because I love spreadsheets. This is just a glorified spreadsheet. So this kind of shows, you know, the income, the expense, and then the net operating income. And these are really important things that Dave Fisher will talk about in the 2-day. Unlike single family and multifamily, the net operating income and the cap rate is actually what defines the value of the property. So the more you can increase income and decrease expenses and optimize that NOI, the higher the value you can bring onto your property. So we started out in year one. You can see the NOI was about 2.9 million. And at that point, we were paying out 10% cash on cash returns. Then in year two, we increased the NOI again. We were able to pay out 11% cash on cash returns. Now, the year three is where it starts really getting exciting. And this is the other thing, you know, I love about a portfolio deal. So this is a 2-property deal. What I love about 2-property deals is, you know, you just never know what's going to happen at a property. So one property may do good, one property may do bad. You know, you just never know. So for example, one of our properties, Derby, had a fire a year ago, and we had about 5 down units. So it had a lower NOI, but Belmont was steaming along. You know, we were able to take out a supplemental loan. We brought value to it. We increased the NOI, and we were able to do a supplemental loan. You know, next year we'll go in and we'll do a supplemental loan on the other property that had the fire. So that's what I love about these portfolios. But once we did that supplemental loan on one of the properties, we were able to return 2.7 million into the cash flow, and that's what brought for that year 31% returns and averaged over 3 years. That's what brings us to the 17%.
You know, the interesting thing is you look at net operating income in year 1 at $2.9 million, year 3 at 3.2. That doesn't sound like a significant amount, $300,000, but in a moment, you're going to see what $300,000 in net operating income increase does to the overall value of the property. It's significant.
Yeah.
Let's go look at that.
Let's go look at that. So remember, we raised $11 million for this property. We syndicated the deal. We had investors that put in anywhere from $50,000 up to a couple $100,000. So we pooled together a lot of people's money to raise that $11 million. And you can see when we purchased the property, the NOI was about 2.3 million. We raised it up to 2.9 million in year 1. And you know, when you start looking at the NOI, right, and you calculate what the property value is based on the cap rate, and now we went from a $42 million purchase price, year 1, it's worth $53 million, right?
Yeah, and the other thing I want to point out for those of you that are sitting out there with your calculators, that's a true 179% return off of that $11 million, because at 58.9 million, obviously you have to pay off your debt that you have. You have to pay off your investors, and then you calculate back in all the distributions that you made. You know, you're potentially distributing $19+ million off of $11 million investment. That's a pretty right, potentially in 3 years.
Yeah, so at 179%, you're getting back your original 100. Let's say you put in 100,000, you're getting back your original 100,000 plus another $179,000. That's a lot of capital gains right there that you know, you're just not going to see in the stock market. The other cool thing that Dave will talk about in the 2-day, and we've done this on almost all our deals. When those early deals that we showed you that we sold, we actually 1031 exchanged those into another deal. We never paid any taxes on them because we 1031 exchanged them. So we made all that money, 300% gains, etc., and we still haven't paid any taxes on them.
Well, but you're not going to pay your fair share, each according to his means?
Yes, sir.
So David and Leslie, you made over 100% return on this deal again. Do you know the technical term for that when you make 100% return?
What's the technical term?
Peeing your pants excited.
Peeing your pants excited.
Well, David and Leslie are so used to this.
3 years ago, we bought the norm. This wasn't 10 years ago. This was 3 years ago, and we followed the same model, the same lifestyles model. We turn every unit the same way. We deliver best product, best price, and look, it's the same result. It's the same results, guys.
Yeah.
It's just a model. Best product, best price. We get the best people. Boom, boom, boom. Just follow the map. It works. It's simple. Well, it's when people veer off that we get in trouble. Keep on the map. It works.
It's hard to get excited anymore when this is a part of the norm. 179% to 300%. It's just
My problem is I work with all you engineers and accountants, and you know, like, yeah, we made 179%.
All right, great story there. Obviously, you guys got a lot of freedom, can do a lot more than you were back in 2011, which has given you a lot of financial freedom. I can tell you guys have had a lot of vacation time, make a lot of good trips, love boats, love the beach. It's obvious.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, lifestyles literally changed our life. And like Leslie said earlier, we wake up every morning and we're like, wow, this is an incredible life. And now we take incredible vacations with our family. We love to scuba dive. We love to go out on our boat.
We've really also kind of enjoyed the term legacy, because
Yeah.
our boys are also members of Lifestyles, and they have become pigs, and one is an aspiring lead. He's completed all the training. The other one's
Yeah.
still in college. But we really, the legacy also is, you can see our final point is the Shippy Gives Back. We sort of hashtag the Shippy Gives Back, and some of the pictures of our staff volunteering at Morgan's Wonderland for the Special Olympics. And we just try to find ways to get back to the communities where our properties are, to the communities where we live, to our family, to our friends. We really, feel so blessed and grateful to have found this path. I mean, when we were talking early before we found Lifestyles about multiple streams of income and kind of getting that concept, we had no idea how to create that income. I mean, I was looking at vending machines, which might have been fine, but it would have been pennies and nickels, quite literally. So, this has just been a life-changing experience, and we're still on the ride and not slowing down one bit. So,
Yeah.
So is Garrett inspired? I'm waiting for his next deal, or waiting for his first deal to come aboard pretty soon.
Yeah,
I think it's
absolutely.
going to happen.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Got a
yeah,
lot of awards. One thing before you start talking about this, I want everybody with us to know that look at all these various different awards. You have to remember that David and Leslie are competing with hundreds and thousands of other apartment owners. So, to be able to make these accomplishments is truly exciting to see what you've been able to accomplish.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. It's been exciting. We won a few awards. The most recent Owner of the Year award in Corpus Christi, and then last year in Austin. And like you say, we go up against a lot of other experts in the industry, and it's very rewarding to get these awards.
To feel recognized and to feel like we've sort of arrived and that we're doing a good job out in the communities, because they tend to look at that, and that we're influencing the communities in a positive way, which is really something that we aspire to do.
Yeah.
David? What's
So,
next?
Yeah, what's next? We're just gonna keep doing what we're doing. So we're gonna keep buying. We mentioned, our two kids are in Lifestyles, so we're passing on our knowledge. Grant, our oldest, is looking for his first lead deal. Long term, we're gonna just continue to enjoy our financial freedom. I mean, we wake up every morning, we live in a 7,000 square foot house on the lake. I get up every morning, I go, yep, the lake's still there, it's beautiful. And we enjoy that. We've got a beach house down on the ocean. And like Leslie said, the whole legacy piece, Shippy Gives Back, is probably the most rewarding, is the money and time we give back into the community, is really rewarding. And then, lastly, long-term, big goals. We're going to get to $1 billion portfolio. We're at 800 million.
You know what you got to do once you hit $1 billion?
What?
I want you to get a little black suit. No, I want you to get a black suit, and I want you to get a monocle, and I want you to grow a white mustache so you look like the little pimp Monopoly guy, and I want you to wear that tie so I can get a picture, okay?
That is what we're going to do, Dave.
All right.
Remember that. You know I'm going to make you do it, too.
You got it, and you're going to be invited to that party.
Okay, that'd be good. All right, you got any shout outs?
Yeah, always want to recognize the team. Obviously, Dell Walmsley, and I tell him this every time I see him. Dell, you changed our lives, and
He probably hears that a lot.
it's as true today as it was 10 years ago. Obviously, the mentors in Central Texas, Doug, Robert, and really Dave Fisher. He was one of our first mentors. The lifestyles consultant, Teresa, is awesome. She really brings a lot to the table as far as operations. And
Has a
then,
lot of experience and has
Yeah.
good answers and good direction.
yeah. And then, our investment partners, we've got, hundreds of investment partners on all these deals we do, and we couldn't have done it without them. And then lastly, again, it's all about the people. So we have over 100 employees that are just rock stars.
Yeah, we feel like we've built a good team that allows us to not have to be slaving away in the business every day, but to feel like we've built something that changes lives not only for our investors, but for the people who work for us and our residents as well.
Yeah.
Well, I got to tell both of you, every time we have you on at Case Study, it's quite a story. It drives a lot of people here to see what you've accomplished and what's done. And it's amazing. You guys continue to hit home runs, and I look for that big B. I look forward to seeing that too. One of the things that both of you said tonight that I found interesting, which is really true, is like me. We started out, when I bought my first property, I thought 22 a door, God, am I crazy? Then going to 38 a door, then 45 a door, and then 51 a door. To think I would be looking at properties paying 100,000 a door. But here, Belmont is a perfect example. I mean, look at the rate of return on that, and that was acquired at over $100,000 a door. So thank you for sharing the story. Thank you, both of you, for giving back. Thank you very much. I know we probably have several questions that we have, so I guess we can get started with some of that.
Absolutely.
All right, so yeah, we have some good questions here. The first one that I have is from Hector. And this is kind of at the beginning of your presentation. So you had said that you had 34 properties. He's asking if you have passive investors, and also, are you a passive investor? So I think what we should ask is, do you have IRO deals and syndications, or what is your split on the properties that you've purchased so far?
So yeah, the properties that we talked about, the 34, are all the ones that we've been lead syndicators on. We also do passive investing, and we love passive investing because we don't have to do any work. So that's mailbox money. So we've done several passive investments. Also, I would say we're more heavily weighted toward our own lead syndications, but we also like to do passive deals.
Yeah.
The next question I have is also from Hector, and he said, how complicated was the process for you to become an investor?
That's a good question. I think it was a little intimidating at first because there's a lot to know. And back in that time when we became that, we did not, Lifestyles didn't have the training per se that they have set up now. Now the training is so clear, taking that investor training and then the PIG training and the lead training, you just get a lot of information that way. And then we did lean on our mentors and the people at Lifestyles to help us. So it's complicated, but the more that you learn, the less complicated it gets.
Yeah, my advice is just jump in and do it, because the best way to learn something is just to go do it. And if you've got
Of course he says that.
if you've got a good support team, don't wait around. Just go go do a deal.
But really quick, David and Leslie, I want to interject and ask a question, because you just explained how complicated it is to be a lead investor, which it is. It's a job and you got to learn a lot. Could you explain to them, because they're listening for the first time, the people that invest in your deal, the passives, how hard is it to be a passive? Could you explain that to them?
Yeah, the passive investing, because we're also passive investors, is basically you got to understand the deal, you got to understand what you're getting into. But as far as lifting a finger and working and doing it, working at it, you got to walk out to your mailbox and pick up a paycheck. That's really how hard it is.
Yeah, I want to make sure they understand that, because people out there listening, they're doctors, they're lawyers, they're engineers, they're working 60 hours a week. They're like, I can't put a deal together like this. Can you write a check? Can you put in a deal? Can you make 18% a year getting a check once a quarter? I want them to understand. I want them to hear from you that yes, it literally is that easy. So
It is
it's not
literally
that
easy.
saying it. Okay, Danielle, more.
The next question I have is from Michael. And so you were saying that first property that you had sold, and you sold to another lifestyle member that happened to be an investor with you. So Michael asked, did you invest passively when he repurchased that deal?
You know, we didn't, and part of the reason is there's some conflict of interest when you're a key principal on a deal, and then you roll into the next deal. I think you run into some issues with being a key principal and then investing in the next deal. So no, we were not investors, not by choice, just because of a conflict of interest.
Certainly. That makes sense. All right. The next question that I have, Scott asked, what is the monthly cash flow on these properties?
What is the monthly cash flow on these two properties? Well, we showed that earlier. It was about 91,000 a month.
Yeah, remember guys, just so you know, when you come to my seminar this weekend, we pay out dividends. It's not like a house. We pay out quarterly distributions, just so you know. But it's simple, folks. It's a rate of return. It's 17% annualized when you take out the refis and all that. That's what you need to know. If you put 100 grand, you made $17,000 a year tax-free. That's what I want you to understand. So you can divide that by 12 or whatever. That's how you do the math. Really simple, okay?
The next question I have is from Prasad, and he said, how do you implement stricter leasing rules and enforcement?
Can you repeat the question?
Yeah.
He asked, how do you implement stricter leasing rules and enforcement? So like when you took over the property and start to make changes, I guess he's asking, how do you go about doing it? Or how do you go about enforcing something that maybe wasn't being enforced before you purchased?
Right. Okay. Thank you for repeating that. Well, everybody who leases an apartment is under a contract, and those contracts can last from 6 months to a year to sometimes longer, but not usually that much longer. You really can't do much with the current residents until their lease terms, and any new prospects or people that are moving in would have to agree to your rental criteria or meet it, and then agree to your rules. And then after that, when the leases change, you can then enforce that with your current residents.
Yeah, I mean, just to summarize, you've got a legally binding contract that with residents. That's how you enforce, what their rules are.
And of course, if they don't, I mean, there are times that you'll have an issue with a resident, but there are things called lease violations and notices that you provide to them. So they go on if they're not abiding by their contract.
Yeah.
So I've got a statement from Steve, but I'm going to kind of reword it. So this is a little bit more in depth for somebody who maybe is new. So I'm just going to premise it with that. But he's asking about the override that a lead investor receives. And I guess he's asking, would lead investors choose to take less? Like if you can ask for 20%, are there lead investors, or do lead investors ask for less than that?
And really quick, folks, this is a very advanced question. I will cover this in the seminar. So if you're new, this is gobbledygook. But David, you want to take a quick one-sentence answer to that? Because I know you do that. That's what they're trying to get to.
Yeah. So I mean, I guess the question is just, there's some compensation for a lead for running the deal and taking on the risk of signing on the loan. And so that's called lead compensation. And, we obviously, as lead syndicators, we take a compensation on that. And we really take the same compensation on most of our deals, right? Which is like a 15% override. And Dave will cover that in the 2-day, but depending on your experience level, you can take various override compensations, you know, based on the deal.
We
The next,
decided to take just the 15% and not increase our override because we feel like we really want our partners to gain income from the deals.
Yeah,
We just feel better about it.
And
It's
for
a
new
personal
folks
preference.
listening, just so you know, Lifestyles has rules. I'll cover those this weekend. David and Leslie decided they want to give back more and help out their investors more. So they take less than what they're allowed to take, which is really, you know, above and beyond when they do that. So just so you know.
thank you.
Thank you.
looks like I just have a couple of questions left. The next one I have is from Matt, and he starts off, he says, 34 deals in 11 years. Wow, that's great. 3 deals per year. Is that what your target is? And how do you go about it?
Yeah, it's funny, you know, it's all about setting goals. And at the start of every year, we set a goal, and our current goal is to do basically four deals, you know, a year. And we've been averaging that about the last 3 or 4 years. We've closed on about 4 deals a year. In fact, this year, right in the middle of COVID, we closed 4 properties right in the heart of COVID. So we already met our goal for the year. So we can just relax
We
the
can
rest of the
relax.
year.
And folks listening tonight, you notice we're not scared. Me, David, Doug, we're all constantly buying. We're running our business. COVID doesn't scare us at all. Our demographic that rents from us are the essential workers. We survived it. We're not afraid. Stop being afraid. Unless you don't like making 100% return, go back to your crappy stock market and make 3% and bitch about your boss the rest of your life. Oh, that
So
was bad.
looks like the questions are kind of slowing down. So I got one last question, and it's
Okay.
from Corinne, and it says, how do you decide on the passive investments that you add to your deal?
Okay, she's cutting out a little bit. She says, how do you pick which passive investors go into your deals, David?
Well, it's kind of first come, first serve, people who respond quickly. You know, we do a webinar and all of that. And obviously they get to review everything, but it's the people that kind of say, hey, I'm interested and I could put in so much. And, you know, then once they're committed, they're really, you know, willing to kind of invest that money. So I would say that is our primary way. We have some other things, requirements that are usually property specific.
Yeah, I
whatever the deal
mean,
is.
obviously we have a lot of repeat investors. So we have investors that have invested in every single deal we've ever done, you know, and they've made a lot of money. We've retired them. But on every single deal we've done, we also bring on new investors. So there's this, you know, and we keep doing bigger and bigger deals. So there's this continuous flow of old investors and new investors on every deal.
And David, would you share with folks out there, and Leslie, you know, I have people listening from Hawaii, California, everywhere today. So would you share some of the different states, or maybe even if, I don't know if you take out of country investors or whatever, would you share the demographics of the different areas people invest from?
Yeah. Yeah, because it's, you know, we just closed on a deal not too long ago, and I'm always amazed when I go through it and see where the investors are from. But we take investors all over the country. So we have investors from Hawaii, from California, from Arizona, Ohio, you know, Florida, New York. I mean, they're all over the country. So East Coast, West Coast, you know, Alaska. It's crazy. And these are all, you know, Lifestyles investors that we've met over the years that we bring on these deals. And it's exciting how Lifestyles has expanded, you know, all over the country now. And we're seeing that in our deals.
And one more thing, because I know a lot of new investors think of this. How many of the investors, of all these investors, physically actually come out and look at those properties? What's the percentage, you think? 5%, 10%? Just so they know that people are investing without actually seeing the properties. I just want them to explain.
It's probably about 1%. It's literally
I just want people to understand that.
Yeah, it's, you know, not that many people get out to the properties. We do a webinar, we show pictures.
Right.
People don't really need to touch it and feel it anymore.
Good. No, I just wanted to clarify. That's great. Awesome.
You know, and right now we live in a virtual environment, but we do have road trips. And when we're back live with that, yeah, you'll see more probably investors that will go and look at the property, but that's about it.
Awesome. All right. So I guess that's where we're at, right, Danielle? Would we answer them all?
Yeah, I've got some questions that I'm going to do at the end. So I think we are good to go.
Awesome. Well,
Okay,
David,
good.
Doug, I really appreciate your time. I thank you so much for giving back. Any final words of advice, David and Leslie?
My big one is just go do it. Don't be that person that waits, 2, 3, 5 years and then have regret. You just jump in there and do it. It will literally change your life.
And David could
Do
go
the
ahead,
2
Leslie.
day. I think everybody should do the 2-day. They should get in there and hear what you have to say over the weekend. It is an amazing presentation. It's very engaging and entertaining. And then join, get in there, interact, rub elbows, talk
Network,
to people, network, and change your life.
So when you both come back again, I know you'll do another presentation when you buy $20 billion more of the property and you have your little pimp hat and your cane and your monocle. When you come back, do me a favor, bring back the money machine slide.
I know. Well, the thing is, Dave, the money machine slide got so convoluted. We've done so many deals that, we didn't know what to do with all those money machines.
I used to show it in my seminar, and then I go, now he has too many deals, so I just make it crap up, but it made a good point as you were growing.
I think it's a great one, yeah.
Yeah.
You need to bring it back.
We'll bring it back, Dave.
Okay.
All right.
Hey, thanks for
All right,
having
Doug,
us.
and thank you too as well.
Okay, very good.